Here's the cover. Can he do it? Kick out at 2.
You are wrestling fans, and we are the degenerates. I'd like to talk about it. This is Kicking Out at 2. My name is Michael. With me, as always, is Tori. Hey, Tori.
Good evening.
Getting our Sonic ad out quick, I see. I got the generic water, so.
Walmart can sponsor us too. I'm fine with that.
I don't know about the kid. I don't know. We're still Sam, maybe, but I don't know about them kids. Kids be crazy. Today, we're going to talk about SmackDown and Elimination Chamber, both in the same one. We're going to fly through SmackDown just because I know everybody just wants to talk about Elimination Chamber and what's going on there.
The only part of SmackDown that mattered, there was two parts. To me, the only two parts that mattered were the women's match because of Nikki Cross at the table, because that shit was great, and Sammy's reaction at the end. Those are the only two parts of SmackDown that literally made any difference for last night.
So we're going to run through that. Let's go ahead and get started. First match of the night was Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler defeating Natalya and Shotzi. I'm really glad they just finally stuck these two together because I think that's what they've needed to have done from the start. We just need to put these two together, make them a team. Preferably, it would have been a faction back then because back then we had Jessamine and we had
Marina.
We had them both there. Would have made perfect sense, but Vince being Vince.
Look, Vince was in charge. We don't do perfect sense. Stop that.
Right.
I'm sorry. You said Ronda Rousey and I fell asleep. My bad. What were we saying?
Here's the thing. So that match to me was better.
I didn't even see it. I didn't see like the first hour of SmackDown. So
okay.
I'm kind of glad I didn't now.
She was more on point.
Okay.
She took the DDT on the apron from Shotzi and actually did a damn good sell of it this time. I don't know if maybe she's just being burnt out being singles. Maybe she was burnt out being at the top. She's made mention before of how she doesn't want to be in the top title picture, want to be in that position. She's essentially going there and play. And so maybe that's what it is. Maybe she's revitalized by being in this tag with Shayna. And maybe Shayna helping her out too, because as Shayna said last week, she's the OG out of the two. So maybe her being able to learn a little bit from Shayna too. But yeah, so they end up going over, which doesn't surprise me at all. You put Ronda and Shayna together, and I'm sure they are going to run through that division. It just makes perfect sense. Got a quick video recap of the Bloodline and Sami Zayn angle. That's kind of just follow through of the entire night of just building it back up and getting us back abreast of what was going on. We had a Bray Wyatt and Uncle Howdy Hit Row segment. Essentially, Hit Row's out there talking mess, as usual. They come out, they being Bray Wyatt and Howdy. They
came out together?
Came out together. And they took out Hit Row. In which case, then Bray has the mic. Bray says, "Hey, whoever wins between Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar better run."
At this point, you and I could take out Hit Row. That's how badly they're being booked.
My favorite thing is the fact that Michael Cole will not let go of that botch because I don't remember which one it was, Bray or Howdy, one of the two, but one of them had thrown him over the top rope to the outside. And they said, well, at least he made it over the top rope this time. I love Sheamus and Drew start making their way to the ring because they have a match next. A little bit about Patrick Mahomes. We have Drew McIntyre and Sheamus defeating the Viking Raiders. I hope we're wrapping this up. I love the fact that the Raiders are back to being the Raiders, but all right, let's move this on a little bit. I'm getting tired of Sheamus and Drew together. Let's get them apart and get some more contenders out there, especially the closer we get to WrestleMania. Hopefully, the closer we get to having two titles, more strong contenders out there for those bigger titles. Caleb Braxton spoke with Rey Mysterio backstage. He's back there talking about the little bit he had with Escobar and all of that. Cross comes out, basically just trying to punk out Ray. So we're still doing the Ray versus carrying Cross stuff. It is what it is. Match of the night to me, Asuka versus Liv Morgan. 8 minutes, 32 seconds.
The match itself was good. All the shit on the outside. First of all, Carmella on commentary is greatness.
Yes.
It's greatness. And then
she actually tweeted out that that Wade is nervous because she did that shit better than him.
And then Nikki Cross sitting on Wade Barrett's lap, and he's got his hands up, and he's like, I'm so going to get in trouble for this later. And then Nikki just climbs up on the table, and she's like a little kid. I love Nikki Cross. I love her. I hate that she had such a poor showing overall in the chamber, but I love Nikki Cross.
So I agree with you. We'll get to our thoughts about that. I think all in all it's fine, but I do wish you had a little bit more. But so of course after the match, we had a bunch
everybody
of
does their everything.
Everybody does their everything to Asuka and Morgan then face off at the end segment. We have Ariel Helwani in the crowd. Talked about the Montreal Canadiens not winning the Stanley Cup in 30 years. They're all behind Sami Zayn, and he hopes he wins tomorrow. Gunther and Imperium in the back. Gunther mocked Madcap for getting Emma's encouragement to win. Gunther promised to retain his title. That's happening. Which did happen. Intercontinental Champion Gunther then defeated Cat Moss. I don't think anybody thought that this was going to go any other way. I had
a moment or two where I'm like, they're not going to fucking do this.
Well, it didn't help though that the fans actually broke out into a "Let's go Gunther." That shows you how much they cared.
Right.
So this brings it to the segment of the night. Sami Zayn coming. 10 minutes.
I think they said they timed the length of the actual like cheering part was a record for the Bell Center at like 5 minutes and some odd seconds because they would cheer and then they would chant and then they went back to cheering. But it was a whole 10 minutes. Because I watched the media thing from last night.
That's what Sammy was saying. It was
he was
longest uninterrupted ovation in the history of that building.
Yeah, and he's like, I had other things I wanted to say, but what am I going to do? Interrupt him?
Yep.
Like, no, stop cheering for me. Like, I don't.
But
I don't blame him. I'd have let him go too and just covered what I needed to, and that's exactly what he did. I loved it. Sammy, he may be the most over guy on the roster right now, and that's saying something with the pops that Cody's getting.
I think if anybody questioned, and I say that because of the rumor and innuendo that was going around that Tripp and Vince weren't high on him being the face of the company. If there was any question that he could be the face of the company, I think that was answered last night.
Between Friday and last night, absolutely. And I'm aware he's in Toronto. I get it. He's at home. I mean, it's a home game. You're going to get cheered more. You could be the Raiders get cheered at home, so that's saying something. But
depending on which city that they're in this week.
That's true. That's true. But the crowd reaction Sammy's getting everywhere. Everywhere is nuts. It's nuts. I've never seen somebody, and he's done it in 9 months.
Yeah.
He's had how long of a career? And in 9 months, he's more over than he's ever been. And he may be more over than anybody on the roster.
Yep. And the work he's done to be where he is now, the acting work, The physical work too. Like if you look at videos of him back when he was El Generico, he was in shape. He was okay shape.
Yeah.
But the shape he's in now, like he's not cut, but you could tell just by his resting look when he was younger and newer in the business. Where he is now, he's had to work his ass off to look as good as he is.
He's put in the work, and his promo with Cody Monday was good. I felt just a little bit he did Friday was better.
I think so too. I may change my mind, just because he did say like wanted to touch on the Jay stuff. He did want to touch on what he and Cody talked about and that stuff.
Right.
Wanted to touch all that, but I agree with you. You got the fans chanting for 10 minutes.
What are you going to stop
Let
him?
it go. Yeah.
Right.
So it talks about talk about having someone that has that knowledge of when to lay out. Like think about when Roman came out there and everybody was booing because he beat Taker, and all he said was "It's my yard now," and then dropped the mic and walked out.
Right.
Same idea of like
absolutely
they were just going off. So why am I going to go out here and talk for 10 minutes? I'm going to let them do their piece. I'm going to say my one thing. I'm going to get out.
Right. Yeah.
So the one thing he does say is he basically says, in French, mind you, which I absolutely loved.
What did he say?
It basically said, tomorrow in Elimination Chamber, you are in my fucking house.
Really?
Which is awesome. And for those of you that got to watch SmackDown and they kept going silent, it was because the FU Roman champs flying. And I know that like YouTube didn't cut it out, Hulu didn't cut it out, but I'm sure local channels probably leaped to that as much as possible. Amazing night. So yeah, fans singing his music, they're erupting in cheers. It was an amazing night for him. And the next night, not to be outdone, was even bigger.
And apparently before the show, like up in the hallways, they were chanting for him and "fuck you, Romans," and I'm like,
yep. And that's something that Tripp actually talked about in the media thing after Elimination Chambers. He said, between Friday and the pay-per-view, like there were times where in Gorilla, it was deafening. Like that far back in the arena, not even in the ring, just all the way back there. He's like, you couldn't hear anything.
So loud. And we'll get to the show, and once we get to the final match, I have thoughts, but I'm happy for Sammy. He earned it. He deserves it. He's worked his ass off. Everybody else has gotten these moments. Kevin's gotten them. All of those guys that came up like him have gotten these moments. This is Sammy's first real moment.
Yeah. It's the first time he's actually got to be out there in the main event. And I mean, well deserved. Absolutely well deserved. We'll see if they continue that path.
Right.
Was this the litmus test? Was this the chance he needed to get his face out there? So Elimination Chamber, if I can actually get a transcript. Here we go. All right. Transcripts from this come from Cage Side Seats, so the only ones who actually seem to have a transcript of step by step what happened that night. So show opens with a video package about facing danger head on and such. But we start the night off with the women's elimination chamber. Now, you and I had discussed a little bit before we started recording. This was my favorite elimination chamber of the night. Not to put the guys down, it was a great match for them too. But this was so well done. Between everybody's acting, between everybody's aggression. I do agree. I think the way Nikki Cross got out as quickly as she did, I would have loved to have seen more from her. However, the fact that it took basically a Tejano bomb through the chamber wall to knock her out of it. Okay. I mean,
right. I want them to do more with Nikki. I love Nikki. I do. I have liked Nikki since she showed up with Sanity. I loved her in NXT. Crazy Nikki is the best thing ever. That's almost a superhero trash was trash. But Crazy Nikki is amazing, and she's so good at it.
Yeah.
If you give me Nikki and Candice and you build it up for 6 weeks for Mania, I am here for it.
Yeah. I do want to say, so I've loved every iteration of her. The superhero stuff, I think the reason that fell so short is because they were trying to make it Hurricane 2.0, and I think that was just because of Vince running it.
Well, and
the superhero thing was her gimmick. She wanted to do that. She came up with the whole idea. If they would have let her just kind of run with what she wanted, it had been better. But I mean, essentially, she was just coming out there being an almost superhero.
the other side
that
of
was
it
it.
is, though, Hurricane was lightning in a bottle. And
Yeah.
part of that was Greg Helms. Shane Helms was so good. His stuff with The Rock was some of the funniest shit ever.
Yeah, it's still top tier. When you
That
talk
whole
about
thing with him hiding.
yeah, the whole Rock and him interaction to this day is still like,
So,
when I think about the Rock and some of the best moments, that's always in there,
yes.
because the fact that A, let him beat him, and B, the interactions between the two were always like the Rock falling on his ass, and it was because either Hurricane was um so oblivious to what was going on, or he ended up getting one up on the Rock. Either way, that ended with Hurricane going over. But yeah, I agree with you. It was lightning in a bottle. There's and them trying to kind of recreate that with her wasn't the way to go. I think you could have made that work for her, but not the way they were doing it. So we start out, and it's Natalya and Liv to start it off. Basic wrestling, which makes sense because it's Natalya, so Natalya is going to try to out wrestle. They end up going to the outside. Morgan throws her into the steel, choking her in the steel, which was a nice visual. Hattie turns things around and throws her into Russ's pod a few times, bouncing her off the Lex can, which was a nice spot there too. The slingshot atomic drop puts Liv into the wall. Natty then chokes her as the counter ticks down. We get Rodriguez out next. She basically goes in there and, like, big girl taking over.
Raquel does.
Yeah, stacks him up, does a stinger splash. She beels Natalya across the ring, doing a fallaway slam on Morgan, just basically taking it over. We got Nikki out fourth. Cross puts Rodriguez into the post shoulder first, slings Natalya to the floor. Morgan with an enziguri and across, and the action, goes across to the floor, catapulting Liv into the Lex can again. That was a great spot. I've seen that gift on Twitter a lot, and just the facials of Liv as she hits it, and just kind of like blank stare and falls back.
My love of Liv Morgan grows every time she's in the ring. Every time. There's nothing she can do that I don't enjoy. In terms of her in-ring work, it's great every time.
It is, and she's at the point now where she's almost the total package. There's still something missing.
Well,
and I don't know what it is yet.
I don't know if I'd say she's a total package. She hasn't murdered anyone yet.
Ooh. Well done, man. Well done.
Take that one. That was good. But no, Rhea beating Charlotte at Mania is my prediction. And I want to see Liv go after it. Liv and Rhea had some great matches after their thing. Or put them back together. This crazy Liv is perfect to be with a team in some kind of team with Rhea.
Yes. Or we had talked about before that there was a little spot backstage with Liv. He had the purple background, much like Rhea did when they her. Maybe she takes over for Rhea when she jumps over to
I
SmackDown.
was getting ready to say, I wonder if Rhea leaves and they bring in Liv. But the question becomes why. The Rhea thing has worked because of how it started, the turn on Edge, now the Dom thing.
I think this could work too. So you have Rhea, which is the facto leader, pretty much the one leading Judgment Day.
Right.
She has to go over there and take care of business. She can't be with Judgment Day anymore. I've got someone who can take over for you guys, and have her just be like the crazy little firecracker leader. He's the one pointing people in directions of go do that, go do that, go do that. I think it could work, but we'll have to see. Like obviously, just
and the first time, like if you're gonna do that, have Priest be like, "Why should I listen to you?" And her reach up and grab him by the hair or something, pull him down to her height, and be like, "Because you're scared of me," or something to make him go, "Oh shit."
So as you're putting that visual in my head, the first thing I'm thinking is she grabs his hair, pulls her down to to her face, says because you're scared of me, and then bites his nose or some shit. Like just something completely out there, completely crazy, and then like he goes back and he's just like, yeah,
something like that would be perfect.
Speaking of crazy, so after all that action goes on, Nikki climbs up to the top, finally takes her jacket off, and then launch off the top, wiping everybody out. Then we get Carmella out fifth. She immediately tries opportunistic covers on everybody. Perfect for her character. Makes perfect sense for her to try to just clean up what carnage had just happened. She's drawing at Asuka at her pod. Raquel then stampedes Nikki through her pod, which takes her out. Carmella goes and hides in an open pod for her own safety, which again, perfect for her character. Raquel Rodriguez, though, then eliminates Nikki Cross by a pinfall. Rodriguez then throws Liv at the wall. She grabs on and climbs up, so Raquel turns and nails Natalia with a big boot before stampeding her into the turnbuckles. Rodriguez is in the turnbuckles, and Liv does a sunset flip bomb off the top of the pod. Absolutely insane.
I saw her going for that, and I was a little scared.
But she hit it perfectly, worked out amazingly well.
Yes.
The only hiccup, if there was one, is I think it took a little too long for Raquel to be ready, because she was there settling herself. You kind of see her just kind of almost trying to pump herself up to get it done, and then finally Liv comes off and does it. But looked amazing. Carmella then again opportunistically tries to pick up the win, but Raquel kicks out. Timer ticks down, and here is the end of the night. Asuka comes out and basically just cleans house. Asuka and Natalya eliminate Liv Morgan by submission with a sharpshooter and whatever she's calling this new move. This here ode to Jim. I've never heard it called that. I heard Michael Cole call it the Asuka lock 5 or 6 times, which is not the Asuka lock. This new this new like Saturn Rings of Saturn type deal that she's doing takes her out. And little thing that I missed, and I had to rewind and see, but you messaged me and said that Liv passing out smiling while she's passing out. So again, just perfect for Liv's character, for her to be in such pain, but finally hitting that just little mark of craziness of I'm just all right, and then passing out.
She's so good. She's just she is peak right now.
Yeah.
And regardless, like I feel like Asuka's gonna beat Bianca. I feel like Rhea's gonna beat Charlotte. I don't care which one of them you have Liv go after. You need to put a title on this child.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with them send her back to NXT for a little bit.
Yeah. They need
Let her have
somebody
a
down
title.
there. I mean, I love the crowd that they got now, but there's no one that I legitimately look at and go, that's a world title.
Yeah.
Um,
Roxanne is doing fine. She was given the title because she had to be blah, blah, blah. Because she wasn't. I love Roxanne Perez. I love Rox, but she wasn't ready for that.
well, here's the thing though. So from what Mandy had said in a recent, that was still already the plan. It just got pushed up.
Right. The question becomes how far pushed up.
Oh no, she was talking like next pay-per-view.
Oh, okay.
Like she
Okay.
was
So
dropping the title to her.
within a couple of
Uh,
weeks, it was going to happen anyway. Okay. I
but no,
feel
I
like she's
agree
not.
though. I don't feel like she's ready for it. I don't feel like she is ready for it. He connects with the crowd. There's just again, like I say with Liv, like there's something missing, not there yet. Liv going down there and working with her might be good. Because right now they're trying to build up JC and Gigi to be like good contenders for her, and they were great as Toxic Attraction, but now they're having to find new roles. So how long is that going to take for them to come into their new characters? Um, so next though, Asuka takes it to Natty, which Carmella then slides in and steals that win. So Carmella then eliminates Natalia by pinfall. Raquel gets Asuka up for a powerbomb. Carmella hits with a chop block, which then Asuka comes in and lays a kick into Rodriguez. Asuka and Carmella both eliminate Raquel Rodriguez by double pinfall. Um, Carmella right in with a super kick, which Asuka kicks out of, creating pinning combinations. Asuka grabs a scissor armbar and it's over. Transition to this. So, because literally it was
Asuka,
pin, 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 and then she just like hooks that arm as she's doing the next pinfall.
Asuka is another level right now. Since she has come back with this new persona that's much more like her Kana persona in Japan, she is another level. Like everything is good. She's hitting things like she's just. It's why I think she beats Bianca
Yeah.
because the match is
Well,
going to be amazing. The match is going to be amazing. The build up is going to be great, but uh,
so
I don't
Oscar
see
right
Bianca.
now, Oscar right now is being a major monster face.
Keep going. I got to fix my camera.
Okay. And I think that we're in a position, we're in a place. Nothing against her character work, nothing against her in the ring, but I think the crowd is getting a little stale on Bianca, and I think it's just because we're ready for something different for her, and maybe it's her going back to her heel ways that she was in NXT. Um, but there needs to be some sort of change. So I think Asuka winning, not only just on paper of Asuka's trajectory right now, but I think with us needing to tweak Bianca's character a little bit
Right.
to put something new in it, I think it makes perfect sense.
I agree. Like I said, I don't know. I feel like that. I definitely think Bianca something needs to change with
Yeah.
Bianca. Um, just because. Sorry, it was sitting like right on the top of the monitor. It wasn't working for me. Um, I love Bianca. I do. She's one of my favorites. I have enjoyed her since her NXT days, but there needs to be something new. It's definitely getting a little. It's not stale. It's getting a little stagnant because it's not bad. I think she's great. I think she's beautiful. She's amazing in the ring. She's good on a microphone. She's all of that. But something has to change at least a little bit. If in the next 6 weeks Asuka starts doing some things and Bianca's like, "Oh, that's what we're doing, okay," and starts doing a little more underhanded things. Okay, I'm good with that.
Um, I wonder, like, sometimes you wonder what will happen to the female counterpart if the male does something different. I'm wondering what would happen to Montez if Bianca goes heel. Like, does that start to
I
wave
don't
on
think
that side
so.
too?
I don't think
Um,
so.
I don't know,
Granted, I
just
wouldn't.
with the way Tripp's been handling things lately. Because
I
lately
wouldn't.
he looks like he's trying to keep them on the same side. If we know,
I wouldn't hate a heel Street Profits.
absolutely not.
Montez talking shit. Oh, that'd be so good. He's so
the
good.
The problem with Montez is I think he's already hit that upper echelon of like and not to the level of legendary status, but just how they were with the crowd of Austin to The Rock, where even if you turn him heel, people are going to cheer him. It's just entertaining as hell. Like, that's not going to change people cheering for him when he does his like shuffle walk stuff. He's going to have to completely change his persona to go heel and be booed.
Well, and I caught a video on YouTube today because I fell down a YouTube rabbit hole of wrestling, and him and Bianca were on Sherry Shepherd's show, and they were talking about his first big. I mean, he's had singles matches, but for me, this is his first big
Yeah.
singles match.
This is the biggest single match of his career.
And of course, they were talking about how attractive he was, and he was just playing it up, and I was like, that would make a great heel character.
Him just knowing he was the shit.
I definitely could see that working. Very, very Rock-esque. And he said that Rock was a big influence on him as a kid.
Absolutely.
When he
makes
first
perfect
started
sense.
and everything, he mentioned how much The Rock was influential into everything. And so it would make sense.
Yep. This leads us to Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar. Long story short, Lashley just kind of, I don't know, laid down.
Big meaty
Brock
man
Lesnar beat
started meat.
Brock Lesnar beat the piss out of this boy.
He did, but I question the booking here. I question the booking. I questioned the booking in Saudi Arabia. He beat Bobby with that crappy pin just by laying like it was just stupid.
Yeah. Well,
And in
and this
this,
one kind of goes the same route because Brock,
yeah,
like, he's straightening up and then he mule kicks Bobby Lashley in the junk, causing a disqualification. It's like, what?
why didn't he do something like push the ref a little bit or something to get him distracted to do it, and then beat him or whatever? Just you have these two behemoths and you've had two crappy finishes that make no sense and serve no purpose. Why?
Yeah.
Why are we
Well,
doing this?
and like, to your point, like, do that. Like, get the ref distracted, hit the low blow, but then Bobby still kicks out, and so then he just goes too far. Like,
Right.
he
Okay.
like
See,
grabs a chair, lays him out, power bombs
a
him through a
beatdown,
table.
a beatdown DQ for me is a vastly different conversation than a low blow DQ.
Yeah.
And I
And
felt
like,
like
he just will not stop.
it
Type
was
of
just
thing.
bad. It was just bad.
After that, though, Brock F5's Patton, who was the ref in this particular match, he picks him up again for another F5 to the floor, and then F5 through the announce desk. Lesnar then pulls Chad Patton out of the ring and F5'd him into the wreckage of the announce table. So it's,
Chad Patton took a beating, and he took it like a champ.
yeah.
So my thought is, if Bray wants the winner of that, so it's going to be Bray and Bobby, are we just going to move Bobby to SmackDown? Like,
I don't know. I don't know where that goes. The preview of SmackDown said that we're getting a Firefly Funhouse
Right, I saw
thing
that.
on SmackDown, so maybe that'll help explain more what's going to happen. But yeah, I mean, I don't see inserting Bray into that story because it doesn't seem like that story's done then.
Right.
Because if he just won by DQ and
Who
then took a
cares?
beat down, surely Bobby wants to get that heat back.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
But
So
anyway,
going.
but maybe this is the way that we get Hurt Business back too. Maybe that's how
That's
we do
possible. That's possible.
that.
Keep going. I'm still here though.
Yeah. And then so I think you and I had just talked a few episodes back about the WrestleMania Goes Hollywood vignettes that had previously when WrestleMania went to Hollywood had been. And I was all for them doing it more, and you were like, we don't need that. However, I beg to differ because the Joker Becky Lynch thing that played at this, absolutely wonderful. So we get a spoof vignette of Seth Rollins being the Joker, specifically the one dancing down the stairs. In which case he gets to the bottom of the stairs, and Becky Lynch, who's now playing the Batman, pulls him in. They have a nice little back and forth. He asks him what's with the weird makeup. He says it's exfoliating. What's with the weird voice? They have a nice little back and forth of that.
So
it was beautiful. I liked it.
I would like to amend my previous statement of we don't need this after seeing that, because that shit was great.
Yep.
That was so perfect.
At some point during the night, they also did a little preview of like the little snippets from the other ones that are coming. They all look like they're going to be wonderful. I'm all for it.
I'm very much here for it.
I do think, just looking at the list of the ones that are there, I do think that this should have been the main event of those. Maybe hold off on this one until the end.
I don't know. If this was what we led with, what else are we getting?
Yeah, it's valid. So this leads to a Cody Rhodes comeback video package. We're obviously going to hype him up for WrestleMania. I don't know if I would have done that during this pay-per-view, just because of as much as we're talking about Sammy for this, but that's just a little nitpicky.
Well, I see your point, but at the same time, it's still Cody against whoever wins. Yeah. So I don't have a problem. I don't have beef with it. I get it.
We get the Mixed Match Challenge. Sorry, not the Mixed Match Challenge. Almost was though. Beth Phoenix and Edge versus Judgment Day's Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley. None of this matters, but when Beth and Rhea got in the ring.
Okay,
at least in my opinion.
Honestly, the whole thing was this was about Beth and Rhea. And if we were not getting Rhea Charlotte, give me Rhea Beth at WrestleMania. Give me Rhea Beth at WrestleMania, because these two in the ring is magic.
Yeah, it was absolutely wonderful. They're standing face to face. Rhea's talking crap, and she pokes Beth in the face, and then they start like standing clotheslining each other with no one moving.
This was the female version of two meaty men slapping meat.
Absolutely.
So the match itself was okay. It was predictable to an extent. Do we want to cover the specifics, or can I just skip to the end?
Skip to the end. Go for it.
The fact that Edge and Rhea hit the Shatter Machine warmed my soul. It's been well known that Edge and FTR are really, really close. They're super good friends. They've talked about each other's kids. Beth has talked about them, but Dax and Cash coming to the house, like all of these things. And the fact that they ended that shit with a Shatter Machine, I was like, this was a decent match. That made it great.
It was a great match. And like you said, it was what it needed to be. It just needed to be fun. We needed to see the interaction between the two. We needed a little bit of Dominic, insertion, just because Dominic and Beth doing their thing. And we got that little moment where we have Finn and Edge in the ring, and he's trying to, make him watch as his wife gets hit by the chair again.
Right.
But that ends up turning on them. Like, it's absolutely beautiful.
Well,
yeah. So Beth and Edge win by using the Shatter Machine. Just
Dom, the Beth climbing up, and Dom, he messed up that spot. Something messed up there. I don't know who, or if he went early, or if she didn't get there quick enough.
We can blame it on Dom. It's fine.
We'll just blame it on Dom.
Blame it on Dom.
It's daddy issues. We'll just blame it on that.
It runs in the family because his actual mom per spot too.
But no, the Shatter Machine, I popped for it. I was like, oh my God. And my only beef with it is that Cole basically no-sold it. He was like, they hit the Shatter Machine. He did not.
Yeah,
you had the
he
perfect
backed out of it
opportunity. He was too quick on the trigger. And you could have easily sold that, because I am 99% sure FTR is coming back.
Yeah, it makes sense, especially with who's in charge. It makes
and
sense.
If they come back and we don't get Edge FTR against the Judgment Day, I'm gonna be pissed. Because
close that out.
That 6-man will be amazing. Because you can hate on Dom all you want to. He is getting better every time he's in the ring.
And you put him in there in the ring with FTR, they're
gonna make him look good. They're gonna make him look good, and he'll sell the shit out of that Shatter Machine. If they bring them back, don't bring them back as the Revival. You can use their names. Don't bring them back as a Revival. Keep them as FTR.
It makes sense.
I don't think they will. They'll bring them back as the Revival, and I'll be sad about it. But
so the only reason I'd be good with Revival, though, is you can still use the FTR moniker.
Yeah.
And have it be Fear the Revival. Or Forever the Revival, either one.
Yeah.
Or just have it change, like from month to month, of what they say it is. You know.
And at some point, Cody needs to be like, I know that name. Since Cody's the one that started the FTR.
Yeah. You see Roman's rage backstage. He's drinking some C4s. They do note in here that curiously, it's not the Skittles flavor, which is objectively the best C4 flavor. I've never had the Skittles flavor of C4. I'm going to have to try this because that sounds
I haven't
amazing.
had C4, so
if you ever try one, you need to try the Skittles flavor because anyway, now we get the United States Championship Elimination Chamber match. Good match. I'm not going to go beat for beat in this, just like we did on the other one. But so we start out the match though with Rollins and Gargano. Those two being in the ring together, absolutely amazing. Gargano hits the Superman spear to the outside, which was a great little thing. As the timing starts ticking, and Austin Theory is the third one out, so not a very big champ's advantage on this because you're coming out the third.
I will say, first of all, I'm not a big Austin. I see the potential in Austin Theory. I'm not a fan. I see the potential. I don't disagree. I'm just not a fan.
I think he still needs some tweaking. Because as we saw in the scrum after, he's using tropes too much. He's being the stereotypical heel too much. Gotcha. In my opinion. And I think that's what's putting me off for him. In the ring, he's amazing. But it's like he picks up the mic thin, and to me, it sounds like he's trying his hardest to be an Attitude Era style heel.
Yeah.
And he's trying way too hard to do it. Just relax, be yourself, be a prick. And I think you'll be fine. So Theory starts clobbering Rollins with kicks immediately, choking Gargano, deal. And again, a great visual on that one. I've seen a lot of good pictures for that particular.
They did a lot. I will say, for both chambers, they did a really good job with camera work.
Yeah.
Really good job with camera work.
They
had cameras inside too, and I'm not sure where, but they did a really good job. That's always been my biggest beef with when they first started doing the cell and the chambers and the cages. You didn't have cameras inside, and so everything was through the cage.
Makes it really hard to get those good shots.
And so they've obviously got some smaller cams in there, and I thought overall they did a great job. Camera from start to finish, camera work on this show was really good.
Um, before the next entrant comes in, Theory's getting forearmed back and forth between Seth and Gargano. And then Theory tries to stop it by getting back in touch with his own mentor. So he's trying, because he, remember, right, he came in with Seth back in the old Monday Night Messiah days, and was one of his disciples there for a little bit. So he's trying to help, trying to get something from him, trying to get something from Gargano. Gargano, though, isn't having it at all, and then clocks him with a kick. Austin goes back and tries to lock himself back in the pod. Good, like, chicken shit heel type stuff. But they end up battering him into the Lexcan. The timer's ticking down. Out comes Damian Priest. I do have to say, so Damian Priest, we didn't get to see him come out previously with Judgment Day. And I'm really glad we didn't, because the outfit he had on for this looked amazing. He had the crown with the, I don't want to say crown of thorns, it was more like a crown of horns, but like just the crown he had on. The trench coat looked amazing, and the gear itself looked great. But so anyway, he comes out running hot. Broken arrow on Gargano, springboard cut off by Rollins, pedigree blocked. We got a dirty deeds out of that, lifting first STO, takes Johnny out, back to Seth, backflip out of the Goozle, but he gets caught with a kill switch. Like just the back and forth that was going on with this. End up Rollins, Priest, perplex, roll through to a Falcon Arrow. Pin doesn't go through though. Counter clicks down, and here is who has to be the biggest impression of the night. Bronson Reed comes out fifth. Good Lord, he comes in there and just like lays to waste everybody that's going through there. Great showing by him, which we'll get to later. Why it was even better showing for him. So he's in there dominating with Theory, and then clicks down. It's Montez Ford coming out sixth. So now we've got all the participants in. Ford goes in there, like he's looking amazing as well. First of all, the gear that he came out with looked great, but then he himself, who ends up doing a falling plancha, I guess, off the top
Spider
of the
monkey.
cage.
He did a spider monkey spot.
Yeah, he climbs up the cage to get away, and then he ends up just on the top, and then he wiggles his body so he's like holding on perpendicular to the mat already, and then drops down. Everybody catches him. It was absolutely beautiful.
It was a perfect spot. They took care of each other. We've seen a lot of high spots like that in the men's. To me, this was the one that was executed the best.
Yes. In
terms of how he pulled it off, but also in terms of how they took care of each other.
Yes.
Like
definitely everybody there for them when they're coming off. We got another spot coming up here that we'll talk about here soon. Same thing there of them just being ready for it. As far as him giving it, I completely agree with. We talked a little bit before we started recording, and it's like we've seen Johnny Mundo, we've seen him do that kind of stuff. We've seen Jeff Hardy do that kind of stuff. I think Kalisto did it one year. Ray
or Kalisto. One of them went way up one year. Like to the
Kalisto was the one that went way up, yeah.
Yes, and we're like, what the hell are you doing, dude?
But those three all kind of had the same approach. As I get up there and I swing and I let go at the right time and drop. And him positioning himself where all he has to do is let go, and he's falling right where he needs to be.
Right.
Amazing way to do it. And plus just looks weird. Because you look like as he's doing it and the camera's pointing at him, like, what the hell is he doing? I thought he was going to launch himself the way he had his feet. On dart himself somewhere, I guess. I don't know. But so we get into a situation though where we're trying to get Bronson Reed, trying to get him out. And so I mentioned before we started recording, I'm going to go and say it again just for the sake of the joke. Like a few minutes before this happens, Sean Ross Sapp tweets out saying the only way you're going to get Bronson Reed out and the only way you should get him out is to do 3 finishers in a row, and then he's done. That's the only way I'm going to be okay with it. And then, ta-da, We end up
Johnny
with
super kick. So Johnny super kick, Johnny and Seth super kick, Johnny Seth Montez super kick, diving DDT, stomp, frog splash.
Yep.
Which that frog splash is so fucking pretty.
yeah. I was a little, if I would have changed anything, which it was already poetry in motion
Right.
as it was, I would have had him come off the top of the pod.
Odd.
Yeah, just to get some extra height out of it.
Right. And
Make it
the
even
other thing
better.
I would have done it the way they did it, but I would have had Seth and Johnny jumped on too.
Have all three of them lay on. Yeah. But however,
just
though,
that little extra touch to say, we know we did all this, but we still need 3 whole ass people to hold him down.
and then after the pin, have him just roll to the side
Yeah.
to show he still could have probably kicked out if they weren't all there. That'd be nice. But yeah, so Montez Ford after the frog splash pins Bronson for the pinfall. Then Priest comes in, starts clobbering everybody. Rollins and Gargano go to work on Damian, but Theory picks Seth off. Seth and Johnny are sitting on the same pod at this point. They both climbed up there, and they're just chatting.
Just chatting, and then out of nowhere, Seth reaches over and goes, wham, and smacks him. And I'm like, that was so perfect.
Yep. So then they're going back and forth. Camera's really tight on them, so we don't see what the other people are doing, which is good for this particular spot. I'm sure they're all just getting ready for this to happen. But Rollins lifts him up for a power bomb, and then Johnny reverses it into a reverse avalanche
Poison Rana.
Frankensteiner. Yeah, Poison Rana off the pod. How dangerous that is in the first place. You had mentioned that you saw Johnny clock his head on the pod.
When he came down, so when he swung down and let go, like the left side of his head, it didn't hit the corner, but it hit this flat piece right here, which is metal. And that's why when he's laying there, he's got his hand on his head like this. And I was like, did he hit his head or is he just selling that? And then they replayed it a couple times, and I'm like, oh shit, he actually smacked his head on the pod.
We got a lot of back and forth between everybody on this, but Damian ends up cutting off offense from Johnny, hits him with the razor's edge, him out for that. And so then we have Priest and Rollins trading hands back and forth. Damian kicks, Seth catches on, and the trading wiggles back and forth continues. He tries for a pedigree, that gets blocked. Roundhouse kick connects. Ford climbs up to the top. Priest cuts him off, but Montez and Seth are working together. Montez Ford and Seth Rollins eliminate Damian Priest by a pinfall with a power bomb blockbuster combination. Absolutely wonderful move. The fact that they kind of paid homage a little bit to Dawkins because it was a tandem move they use a lot.
I was a little concerned about the blockbuster just because I had kind of Rick Steiner flashbacks because it looked like he went over before the person on the shoulders went back, and I was a little concerned. But they pulled it off well, and it worked.
So Montez ends up being a house of fire at this point. He ends up doing a tope con Giro on Austin, taking him out, does another one for Rollins, passing Theory to the outside, a third top rope con Giro, wipes out both of them. Ford in the ropes. Seth hits a blackout, and Austin capitalized by Austin, and then Austin Theory then pins Ford to be out of it. So Ford having a really good show in there and just kind of getting cut off, which easily you can say he's not a singles guy. Had no one there really watching his back. Lack of experience in singles matches causing the problem. They take him out at that point. They play up at this point, though, that Ford's hurt. And for a moment, my heart was in my stomach.
Me too. I was like, no. Like, tell me he did not just get into the biggest singles match he's had and get hurt. My heart started to sink a little. And then I'm like, wait a minute. Seth and Austin are both down. The cage door is wide open.
Yep.
Never mind.
Yep. And ironically enough, in a night with Edge being there, having someone come in while the doors are open makes perfect sense. A couple of flashes went through my head of what could have happened. I thought maybe Dawkins coming in, maybe John Cena coming in to take care of Theory. But of course, the one that made the most sense of all, Logan Paul coming out. It's the second best buckshot lariat I've ever seen. Well over Punk, where it is on that level, because he's able to at least fully rotate and not have his knees buckle. But so he ends up taking out Rollins. Of course, the referee shoos him away, but that gives Austin an easy way to get A-Town down and Seth Rollins for the win. So he's still the champ. Makes perfect sense. He said after the night that he is going to bring back the United States Open Challenge coming up this Monday, which ironically enough, Edge has already accepted. So,
Really?
yeah, so Edge was interviewed right after Theory, and he said, so I heard that the young kid up here with the glasses, because I guess it was too bright in here, he had said he's bringing back the U.S. Open Challenge, and apparently he used to be a John Cena fan, so it only makes perfect sense that I need to take that away from him. And plus, they're still in Canada, so
Where are they going to be tomorrow?
I don't remember.
I wonder if they're
Ottawa?
going to be Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
Alberta, Canada.
In the
But
Lance
so
Storm side?
the thing is though, this makes perfect sense. Especially if you're going to keep the Judgment Day thing going, cost Edge the match, that keeps that going. Him doing the Open Challenge just makes it perfect to lead up. Eventually, John Cena
Yep.
takes the Open Challenge, so this leads that up perfectly. And now here we are, real hype for this. The main reason everybody's watching this. Got Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn for the WWE Undisputed. First of all, before we even get into it, I missed to not mention Sammy got his music back. We're here for the main event. All this led up to this. These months and months and months building up the story. Not even culminating yet. But this is just like
we're not
the
done.
apex. This is just the apex to the finale. First of all, Samantha Irving, got to give her an amazing shout out. She's such a good ring announcer. It just gets better every time she's there.
I was getting ready to say she was good. She's you can see her getting better from her time in NXT to when she started doing little things on SmackDown to when she started ringing out. She is so, and I really noticed it Friday when she introduced Gunther. Just the way that she says Imperium, his name, just all of those little things, and then she killed it for Sammy and Roman.
Absolutely.
So shout out to Samantha Irvin and Ricochet. You're a lucky man. Well done, my friend.
So you got Reigns coming out first, which is, first of all, absolutely amazing that they had him come out first.
Did you hear the reasoning?
No.
Champion's prerogative, so that Sammy had to look at him when he came out. No, the fuck it wasn't. No, the fuck it wasn't. It was absolutely because if you'd have brought him out second, no one would have heard his music at all.
Yeah. No, and the thing is, though, that's perfect because the fact that they're playing that card, it just makes Roman seem just that much more petty. It gives you more of a reason to hate him. Because, like, okay, I see how this is. You don't want to take the normal champ's advantage of making the way for you. You want him to look you in the eye as he's coming down to the, not giving him a moment of peace alone with his fans. I get it.
Yeah.
Perfect sense. So surrounded by 10,000 of his worst enemies. Roman Reigns is just that eye look that he has.
He ate that shit up too.
Roman circling, the crowd getting under his skin, looks on his face as they start the Olay chants, as they start the Roman chants. Like when he first came out, he had this grin on his face because he's like, all right, we're gonna take care of business. And just little by little before the match starts, see these little cracks of him looking concerned about what's about to happen.
I have to give Roman all of the credit in the world for this. The little things that he has done, the facial expressions, the talking shit in the ring, the little things that Roman has started doing since they started this run and they've let Roman be Roman, have been top tier.
Absolutely. We wouldn't have, like, it takes two dance partners. We wouldn't have had as big of a reaction last night without having the monstrous villain on the other side. Can't have
Absolutely.
Superman without Lex Luthor. You can't have Batman without the Joker. Like, this makes the perfect match of this had to happen. Eventually, this Apex had to happen. So we started off basic side headlock. It's Roman trying to slow it down, be the same guy he has been, taking control of the entire match. He's back to having that smirk on his face because obviously he's taking control of this. This is old hat for him. He's just back to doing what he. Sammy with a side headlock, wrenching it in, taking the tribal chief down to one knee. Shot off with a big back elbow. Excuse me. Now Reigns is feeling himself on the crowd. Going around to the crowd. This is what you wanted. This is what this is. Looking at him, you caused this. You wanted this. There's even moments where he's jaw-jacking his wife on the outside, which I love the fact that they brought that into it. Again, a wonderful babyface moment, which I'll talk about between him and. But the fact that they did an interview with her earlier to get a little bit of her stuff, how she felt about the match.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. They did an interview with her and just like her feeling about this, how much like Sammy loved Roman and how this has just devastated Sammy, like her helping build this even more because they're saying, well, no, not even just in the ring, not even in person, at home too. He loved the bloodline. He loved Roman Reigns. Makes it even better. So for a while here, Roman's pretty much taking it to Sammy. Sammy does finally get a little bit of comeback too. He starts increasing the speed a little bit. He's on the second rope for a diving elbow. Gets covered for one. He smashed Reigns in the turnbuckles. Off the second with another elbow, but Reigns then cuts him off in midair with a right hand, throwing Zayn to the floor. Following after that, he smashes him face first into the apron, and then yelling at the fans until he hits a drive-by. Back inside, Sammy throws a desperate chop, and Reigns clobbers him with a forearm. The tribal chief taunting the crowd, disparaging their chants. More chops from Sammy off the ropes. Big slicing right cuts. It cuts Sammy off, and Roman has jokes for Paul Heyman. So like it's Roman being Roman. It's just he's feeling it. He's got this under control. There's no problem. He starts jawing at Sammy's wife at this point outside, talking about how he wanted to provide for her family. He wanted her to be part of their family. I was bringing you my family. We wanted to love you. We wanted to take care of you. He heads over to the base of the ramp. A big headbutt staggers Zayn back inside. Sammy's out of gas, and Roman's just stalking with it. So to his feet, trading forearms with everything he has left. But Roman kicks his legs out from under him, whips across, springboard evasion, and Sammy hits a lariat for a little bit of breathing. But as this goes along, it's still just the same thing. Little bit of fight from Sammy, cut off by Roman. Little bit of fight by Sammy, cut off by Roman. Sammy at one point, they're outside. Sammy tries to go for through the ropes, spinning DDT, which to this day I still don't understand how. The
Did you see where he scratched himself up?
after
I
he did
he
after he did
started
that move, he caught. Yeah,
he started to do that, and I was just like, no. When you were in NXT and when you first came up to the main roster, okay, I haven't seen you try that move in 2 years at least. Don't. And Roman missed. When Roman swung, Roman missed.
yeah.
So
Um,
that was the only spot the entire match that I was like, that just wasn't good.
so looking back on it, I can say that I didn't even it didn't phase me at the time. Like I was so into this match, I didn't even notice
Right.
any hiccup in that. We're hitting towards the end of the match. I'm going to skip over a lot of beat by beat. If you haven't watched it, go back. This itself, and I can't imagine anybody watching this that has not watched that match already because of how much this is. But the to a point where he tries to go for a blue thunder bomb. Reigns kicks out bottom. Sammy drags himself to his feet in the corner. Roman calls for it. He's going to do Superman punch. He reverses Superman punch into his exploder suplex into the turnbuckles, runs back, going to try to line him up for the haluva kick, but gets hit with the Superman punch instead. Both men are rising. Reigns is to his feet first. He's soaking in the hatred of the crowd. A howling, leapfrog, the spear, holding schoolboy. Sammy kicks out. Another exploder into the turnbuckles, and this fires Sammy back up. And so he goes back, and it looks like he's going to go for the haluva kick now. But instead, he cocks his hand and goes for the Superman punch.
He should never do that again. Like Punk should never do a buckshot lariat again. He should never try to do it. No, it was bad.
You talk about this. You talk about that other thing being the only spot. Here's my thing. He hit that spear the other day on SmackDown. He should have speared him here like that because the spear looked great.
I agree.
Him taking that spear instead of the Superman punch been awesome. Luva kick connects this time, but Roman kicks out at the last fraction of a second. Kickouts in this are just so on point.
Yeah.
And like we talked about, which little preview for something we're gonna do later, but pet peeves, and mine has always been looking at the ref for kickouts. No one's looking at the ref. It's just the timing. You're in that cadence, and just like the last possible second he could have kicked out, he kicked out. Back inside, duck Superman punch. Roman kicks out of a Blue Thunder driver. Sammy psychs himself back up, goes for the Blue Thunder driver again, blocked. Roman rams him into the corner and then takes referee Dane Engler out in the process. Across the ring, and Sammy hits a haluva kick for a count of about 20, if there was a ref there.
I literally at this point I went, oh shit, they may actually do this. Like this was the moment. Up to this point, I was like, "Nah, Sammy's not winning this. He's not. They're not doing this." And then this spot happened, and I went, "No."
So Sammy checks on the ref. He just falls out of the ring. Jimmy Uso then shows up. Clobbers Zayn with super kicks. 3 of them in total. Uso goes up to the top, hits the Uso splash. He wakes up Roman, drags him over there. Referee Ryan Tran makes it to the ring. Sammy still kicks out. So at that point, you can see just the hatred, the look, the worry on Roman's face because he just kicked out of everything. No reason that Sammy should have kicked out at this point. Both men are spent trying to find their last reservoir of any sort of adrenaline or any. Zayn throws some punches from his knees and to his feet. Roman off the ropes, and he connects with a headbutt, drawing at Sammy in the ropes and clobbers him. Reigns almost takes Tran out at that point. Zayn stops a mud hole in the corner. Ryan admonishes him for that. Haluva kick for Jimmy, but Sammy then turns around straight into a spear. At that point, I thought it was over because that made perfect sense. He got distracted. He took care of Jimmy. Here we're done. Nope. Kicks out again. Roman starts.
I hate false finishes repeatedly, especially with finishers. This time it made 1,000% sense. Like false finishes over and over and over. Stop it.
Yeah.
This was so good, so compelling.
This was the point where Roman snapped. He starts pulling Sammy up. He's pulling him up by his hair. He's elevating him up to his face, talking about how, telling him he would have been nothing without him. I elevated you. I'm the reason you are where you are. I'm the reason you're as big as you are now. You would have been nothing without me, without my family. Roman then slaps him, which apparently woke Sammy up.
He smacked the shit out of him too.
Because Sammy had a slap of his own, ducks a Superman punch, and Ryan Tran goes down at that point. So now again, we're without a ref. Superman punch from Zayn, one from Roman, both go down. Reigns then directs Heyman. Then we know what's going to happen here. Heyman's going to go, and he look for a chair, slid a chair in there. Jey Uso shows up. And we have mirror images of what happened at the last pay-per-view. Because looks like he's going to go waylay Sammy, and he goes, no. You should do it. Goes to hand Jey the...
You have no idea. Look, right here, I'm like, one of two things is happening. This is how I saw it. One of two things was really how I saw it at the time. One of two things. Jey is going to clock Roman, cost him the title, and walk away from the bloodline completely and let Jimmy drop the titles on his own. Or Jay's going to crack Sammy, setting up Sammy, Kevin, the Usos at Mania. That was exactly how I saw this. And neither one of those happened. I was like, oh my God, what are we doing?
Yep. But so what ends up happening, though, is Roman turns to Sammy, and he's basically warning him, like, what's about to happen. Like, Jay's about to clock you. Jay's about to take you out. We're taking you out as a family. And then he turns around, he knows that Jey still hasn't done anything. Still just standing there with a chair. And so he goes, you know what? I'll do it myself. And yanks the chair out of his hand. And then he starts pie facing him. Going, what's wrong with you? What's the matter with you? The look on Jay's face.
I was praying for that turn. Like, I want to see Jey hit Roman with a chair so bad, especially after everything to get Jey into the bloodline. Now we've done all of this stuff. I need Jey to absolutely blast Roman with a chair at least once.
Which I think we're still going to get there. But not tonight. Because, so as they're doing their jaw jacking back and forth, Zayn wakes up. He goes for a spear. Roman sidesteps it. He ends up spearing Jey. Which that probably sets up the Jey Kevin stuff that's going to happen. But we're not there yet. Roman wails Sammy with a chair over and over. Reigns then hits the spear. Dane Engler, the previous rep, the first rep, finally wakes up, is able to slide in. But Zayn can only get a leg up and not his shoulder. So still, though, that little Mick Foley, ironically enough, he had talked about a match that he had where he was kicking out. I think it was the tombstone. He wasn't going to kick out of it, but at the last possible second, he like kicks his leg a little bit. He was like, that just shows you that I didn't have enough to kick out, but you didn't take me out. There's the same thing here. He just kind of kicks that leg out a little bit, and it's like, okay, if he just had a little more energy, if it was one less chair shot, possibly could have kicked out of this. Perfect way to do it. So Roman Reigns ends up in this pinfall. He's still the WWE Undisputed Champion. Post match, though, Jimmy Uso then starts putting the boost. Like, that's where we are now. Is Roman is telling him, take him out, just like we did at Survivor Series. Take him out. At that point, Kevin Owens comes out, and he just takes out everybody.
My biggest beef with this is, why did he just now come out? That's my biggest beef. That's my only complaint. Why did he not come out during the match? I'm not saying he should have made Sammy win, but when Jimmy was in there, why did he not come out and get involved in that?
So I'm going to give benefit of the doubt, because so far Triple H has not let me down 9 times out of 10.
That's fair. That's fair.
That there's a reason for that. The reason that immediately comes to my head is because Sammy has left Kevin so many times at this point that
fair.
Maybe he just like, I needed you to see that you keep going the way you're going, you're going to alienate everybody, and then no one's there to have your back. But
that's fair.
When push comes to shove, and it's not a match in that ring, I still have your back. Because that's the thing.
That's
he let
fair.
the match play on, but then once the match was over, okay, now you're going to try to beat him down after the match is over? All right.
That's okay. That's fair. I just, you were there. Why?
Yeah. But amazing ovation for him. Canada in itself is one massive hometown for Canadians, but this is actually Kevin's hometown. He's from Montreal.
Yeah.
So, massive pop happens when he comes out. He comes in, though, makes a save, does a kick in the gut and a stunner to Roman, one for Jimmy 2. Great moment. Paul tries to come in the ring, and he is just the worst punches I have ever seen. It was like a 3-year-old trying to beat up a high schooler. It was just,
Here's the sad part. That was so bad, but he still sells the stunner better than Vince.
You got to it before I could, because I was going to say the same thing. Because the sell was really good. Like, he actually sold that really well.
Sold the hell out of it. But Vince can't do that. Vince fell down before he even took the stunner last time.
But so then at this point, you've got Roman. He's finally made his way back up to his feet, but he's laying in the corner. You got Kevin between him and Sammy. Sammy's made his way up in the other corner, the opposite of him. And he just kind of steps aside, lets the haluva kick happen. So that ends up taking him out. Kev then takes his leave, takes a long look at Sammy from the bottom of the ring. He stops at the stage, has another look with Zayn. Zayn is obviously having this existential moment of like, I've been pushing this man away, and he still came out here to save me. Like, perfect the way this is playing out.
I am excited about tomorrow because we're going to start getting Cody Roman, which is going to be great stuff.
Yep.
We're going to start getting Kevin and Sammy stuff with the Usos probably. Because Jay's going to be like, what was that?
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and that's the thing, is that we're going to see the dissension between the Usos. We're going to see Kevin and Sammy tumultuous relationship kind of starting back up. And a lot of people still pushing for there to be a 3-way or even at this 4-way at WrestleMania for the undisputed title. I don't want to see that, because I see where Sammy's at right now. Him going out there and saying, look, I know Roman already has his dance partner for WrestleMania. However, I would have had that match won if it wasn't for Jimmy. So you know what? I was going to tear down the bloodline from the top up, No, we're going to go from the bottom up. We're taking those titles.
What do you do with Solo at this point? I just
What
he
I do
wasn't
with
there.
Solo, what I do with Solo is you have him just be tired of the shit. Because if you
Like I'm
remember
not dealing
right,
with this anymore.
he wasn't called up by Roman. He wasn't brought into this by Roman. He wasn't recruited by Roman. He was brought in from the heads of the family.
That's right.
And so him just going, I'm tired of this shit. And he just peels off of it.
If you're gonna do that, which I'm fine with it, do that. I'm good with it. If you're gonna do that, I definitely think that it needs to be done as a how am I trying to say this? Like the heads of the family, he needs to go. They need to be a video of him talking to them, saying, "Look, you guys brought me up. I understand Roman's head of the table, but I'm so tired of this. This is dumb, and I'm not going to do it anymore. And so I'm out."
Yeah. Well, and I even think have him be the exclamation point. Have him be the one out there. Roman loses everything at this point. So we get to the main event, last match of WrestleMania. Him and Cody. Usos have lost their stuff. Jay's peeled off at this point because of the deals between them. Jimmy's out because
Right.
Jay's not there. So all he has is Solo. That's all he has now. He brings
Right.
Solo out there with him. Solo's the finishing touch. He tells Solo to go in there and take care of Cody while the ref's down. And Solo turns around and super kicks him.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
And then you have a little program for Roman. Have him put over Solo before he walks out and takes some time off.
Yeah, that's yeah.
I don't know. All speculation. Every time we try to speculate something for this bloodline gimmick, they take a left turn and it's even better than what we thought. So great night. Amazing night for Sammy. They need to keep this man at the top of the card. Stay where he's at.
I agree.
And even if it's with tag, I'm fine with that. I think the tag titles need to have a little shine too anyway. So if that's the case, have that be the main thing for a while. Cody can hold on to both straps and hang around on Raw for most of the time instead of on SmackDown. Have the tag titles maybe be the main thing on SmackDown for a while.
Yeah.
But
well, and you've still got
certainly
Gunther with the Intercontinental, so
yep. But we'll see. So go ahead and close this out. If you are enjoying this podcast, please support us. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Hit us up on all the socials, including the TikTok. We're having a lot of fun there. In fact, we're going to record some more of those tonight.
Nice.
To catch all the latest from us, you can follow us right here, Kicking Out at 2 on youtube.com. Until next time, I am Michael. This is Tori.